Hello everyone. In this lecture, we are going to see ASME Section 8, Division 1, Subsection A, UG-16, Minimum Thickness Requirement, for plates. We have all these courses available on our Thinkific platform. To learn more about these courses, register with the link given in the description.
So UG-16, what UG-16 talks about? It talks about the minimum thickness requirement given by code. Okay. Now, what is the minimum thickness requirement given by code is for general application. No, we are not talking about any exemptions which is given. See, there are some exemptions given. We'll talk about that also. But in general, you cannot go a thickness less than 1.5 mm. Okay, that is the minimum thickness requirement given by ASME Section 8 Division 1. Okay, I hope it is making sense. We are not talking about any exemptions. Okay, but there are some exceptions, not exemptions. There are some exceptions to this. Okay, but we are talking about in general. Okay, I hope you got it. And this 1.5 is excluding corrosion allowance. No corrosion allowance is included in this. Okay, so if like 3 mm corrosion allowance is also applicable, then your minimum thickness requirement will become what? Just write in chat box. If 3 mm is the corrosion allowance, what will be your minimum thickness requirement? 4.5, right? Great, great. So I think it's pretty clear to you guys. Now let us see what are the exceptions, which is there. Okay. So first of all, the code says that this minimum thickness requirement does not apply to a plate type heat exchanger. Now, what might be the reason for that? The reason for that basically is that plate type heat exchangers are meant for having a lesser thickness. So the plate type heat exchanger, the heat transfer happens through the thickness. So if my thickness is very high, that heat transfer will not happen. So that this type of product itself will lose its credibility. It's the purpose of making that heat exchanger, the compactness and efficiency. So that is the reason that restriction is not there for plate type heat exchanger. You can use whatever thickness you are getting. Okay. Now for unfired boilers, shell and head types, the minimum thickness requirement is 6 mm. I cannot go below 6 mm for head and or shells of unfired steam boilers. Okay, I hope that is clear. For unfired steam boilers, minimum thickness requirement is 6 mm. You'll have to add corrosion if it is applicable. So like 6 plus, if 3 mm is the corrosion allowance, 9 mm will become the minimum required thickness. Okay, that is for steam boilers. Now for compressed air service, like we have air receivers, so for compressed air service or a steam service, okay, or a water service, because water is also very corrosive. So for these three applications, the minimum thickness requirement is 2.5 mm. Yes, Seth, you're right. So 2.5 is the minimum thickness requirement for air service, steam service, and water service. Okay, I hope you're clear with that. Now let us see further. Yes, now this UG-16 clause C1 is about how to take care of the under tolerance, right? Now, how under tolerance comes into picture? First of all, what is under tolerance? I hope you guys understand what is under tolerance. Anybody can tell in the chat box what is under tolerance? Anyone? What is under tolerance? manufacturing tolerance. Yes, you're absolutely right. Like if I'm giving order to a plate manufacturer for a 10 thick plate, okay, he cannot exactly make 10 okay. There is no absolute value in terms of manufacturing. You always need a tolerance. Yes, Tejasvi is also right. So you always need a tolerance, positive and negative. Okay, what is minimum? What is maximum? Within that range, you have to fabricate. Okay. Now the fabrication cost also depends upon these tolerance. If the tolerance are in microns, your manufacturing cost will be much, much higher. Okay. If it is general tolerance in plus minus 1, 2, you can do or achieve it by fabrication. Machining may not be required. Okay. But that also depends upon how much length we are talking about. Okay. So in manufacturing, we cannot produce thing without tolerance. So whatever lower tolerance is there, that we call under tolerance. Plus part is called over tolerance. So there are two terms, under tolerance and over tolerance. So under tolerance is negative, like 10 So what is negative? How much lower it can go? Okay. Now, positive tolerance means what is plus he can go, because see, plus may not be a problem with design, because if I need 10 if I'm getting more than that, I'm okay. Okay. But if I'm giving too much plus tolerance, that weight will also become very heavy. Okay. That may not be good for the design. So negative and positive both are required. So what codes, first of all, in C1, it talks about that you cannot have your design thickness lower than the actual thickness. That is the first requirement. Okay. I hope you got it. Your nominal thickness, whatever you are selecting. Okay. Like if you want to order a 10 thick plate, then your design thickness should be lower than that. Getting it? Like if my design thickness, I calculated thickness as per ASME formula, I got, let us say, 9.5 I'll have to order a nominal thickness more than that. Okay, it's logical also. I cannot order 9 or 8 plate. I'll have to order 10 plate. Okay, so that is the first requirement. Then the second requirement is, sometimes it becomes confusing. As per plate specification, okay, what is the under tolerance permitted? Let us see if I'm talking about SF516 grade 70. What is the, first of all, where I'll get what is under tolerance and over tolerance permitted for a SA516 grade plate? Who can answer that? SA20, yes, absolutely right, Samir. So SA20, which is a general specification for all the carbon steel plates, there you will find the under tolerance and over tolerance requirement given. Okay, so the under tolerance requirement for a SA516 plate for all the thicknesses is 0.3. Okay, 0.3 Now, so people think, okay, that if my design thickness, let us say, is 9.8 See, for 9.5, we don't have any problem. We'll order 10 nominal thick plate. Under tolerance permitted is 0.3. So even if I remove under tolerance, my thickness is more than the design thickness, 9.5. Okay, so you are pretty clear. Now let us say if my design thickness is 9.8 what I'll do then? If my design thickness is 9.8, can I order a plate with nominal thickness 10 Just think about it. So I'm getting no as answer. Just think about it. Siva is saying yes. Umesh is saying yes. If you have not understood the question, I'll just repeat. My design thickness, which I got after adding corrosion lance and everything, the design thickness I got is 9.8. Can I order a 10 mm plate knowing that my under tolerance is 0.3? So supplier can give me a plate of 9.7 mm also. Okay, so I have most of the responses as no. Okay, but that is where this U-16 clause 2 comes into the picture. See, if you see this clause is modified in 2019. If you see in 2017 version, the clause was written differently manner. So it was creating lots of confusion. So now they have very clearly clarified that if my design thickness is 9.8 and I'm ordering a 10 mm nominal thick plate, which is nominal thickness is higher than my design thickness, but after under tolerance, it can go lower than design thickness. So what I have to do, I have to just see the difference of these, my design thickness and what the thickness I'll be getting after under tolerance. So the case which we took, like 9.8 will be my design thickness. After under tolerance, I'll get 9.7. So what is the difference? It's 0.1. Okay. So 0.1 mm thickness, 0.1 mm difference. The difference, if it is less than 0.3, okay, now this 0.3 is not the under tolerance. This is the requirement of C2. Okay. The requirement is like minimum of 0.3, 6% of the design thickness. Okay. So now, if you see the design 6% of the design thickness, why I'm not talking here? Because even if I have a 6 mm plate, okay, 6 mm is my design thickness, then what is the 6% of 6? What is the 6% of 6 mm thick plate? What is 6% of 6 mm thick plate? Anybody can write in the chat box? 0.36, right? So now if you see 0.36 and the other is 0.3, I have to select the minimum of these two. So definitely 0.3 is minimum, So any thickness which is larger than 6, that 6% of the nominal thickness does not come into picture. Is it making sense, guys? Say yes if it is making sense what I just said. That we don't have to remember 6% of the nominal thickness, because if my thickness is higher than 6, it is always going to be more than 0.3. So the governing criteria will be 0.3. Okay. So you don't have to remember the next part. So now what code is saying, the difference in the design and the actual thickness which you have got after the under tolerance, if it is lower than 0.3, you can select that plate. So in this case, with the example which we took, 9.8 mm was my design thickness required. I can order a 10 mm thick plate, knowing that after under tolerance, it may go below design thickness. Still, code has given us permission to use that. Is it making sense, guys? Say yes if it is making sense. No, if you want me to explain it again. Okay, so yes. Okay, great. So remember this point, many times it becomes confusing, because logical wise, what we think that if my actual thickness is going lower, I have to select a higher, the people will select 12 mm things, but that is not required. Code is giving you permission to use 10 mm plate. Also, you can save 2 mm, and the cost is very important.